Now I want you to imagine a science fiction movie where the biggest threat isn't an alien army, but humanity itself. A movie where the hero isn't a billionaire superhero, but a teenager from a London estate. A story where the future isn't filled with shiny spaceships and perfect technology, but broken cities, uncomfortable questions, and strange ideas that stay in your head long after the credits roll. For decades, Hollywood has dominated science fiction, massive budgets, huge explosions, entire cinematic universes. But sometimes, the most unforgettable sci-fi doesn't come from the biggest studios you know. Sometimes it comes from Britain, and many people find this hard to believe. A place where filmmakers looked at the future and asked, what if it wasn't exciting, but terrifying? Today, we're counting down 10 brilliant British sci-fi movies and shows Hollywood could never make. And before we enter this strange corner of science fiction, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us uncover more hidden gems from cinema's universe, and don't worry, this won't cost Hollywood billions of dollars. Let's begin. Number 10. Attack the Block, 2011. Most alien invasion movies begin with one question: how will humanity defeat the aliens? Attack the Block begins with a very different question. What happens when aliens invade the wrong neighborhood? Instead of scientists, soldiers, or government agents, the first people fighting back are a group of teenagers from a South London housing estate. And that's exactly why Hollywood would struggle to make this movie, because the genius of Attack the Block is that it doesn't clean up its characters. These aren't perfect heroes. They're flawed, reckless, and exactly the kind of people Hollywood usually puts on the sidelines. But when the world changes, they become the only ones ready to protect it. The movie mixes alien horror, comedy, and social commentary in a way that feels completely British. Hollywood could copy the aliens, it could copy the action, but capturing the strange combination of street realism and sci-fi chaos, that's much harder. Number 9. Dredd, 2012. Hollywood loves comic book adaptations, but Dredd did something unusual. It didn't try to build an entire universe. It didn't spend an hour explaining the hero's childhood. It simply dropped us into a brutal future and said, this is Judge Dredd, good luck. Set inside a massive futuristic tower block controlled by criminals, Dredd and rookie Judge Anderson must fight their way through hundreds of enemies. The movie is violent, simple, and incredibly confident. No unnecessary mythology, no studio checklist, just one bad day in a terrifying future. A Hollywood studio today would probably try to turn Dredd into a 10-film franchise. While the British approach is totally different, make one incredibly focused sci-fi action movie and let it speak for itself. Number 8. The World's End, 2013. On paper, this sounds ridiculous. A group of childhood friends reunite years later to complete a legendary pub crawl they failed to finish when they were younger, and accidentally discover an alien conspiracy taking over their hometown. It sounds like a simple comedy with a strange sci-fi twist, but that's the magic of British science fiction. It can take ordinary things, like a night at the pub, old friendships, and a small English town, then turn them into something much bigger, because beneath the robots and the chaos, The World's End is really a story about growing older, losing yourself, and trying to reconnect with the person you used to be. At the center of the story is Gary King, a man desperately chasing the best days of his past while everyone around him has moved on. The alien invasion becomes more than just a sci-fi threat. It's a metaphor for change, adulthood, and the fear of leaving your old life behind. Hollywood can make massive alien invasion movies with huge battles and world-ending stakes, but making one where the emotional climax happens in a pub with a group of old friends, that's something only British sci-fi could deliver. Number 7. Black Mirror, 2011. Till date, most science fiction asks one simple question: what amazing technology will exist tomorrow? But Black Mirror asks something much more uncomfortable. What happens when we get that technology and use it in the worst possible way? And that's exactly why this series feels different. The scariest things in Black Mirror aren't aliens, monsters, or distant planets. They're things already sitting in our pockets: phones, social media, artificial intelligence, the need for attention, the desire to be loved, accepted, and remembered. Each episode opens a window into a possible future where one small technological breakthrough completely changes human behavior. A world where your reputation can decide your future, where memories can be replayed, where artificial intelligence can imitate the people we've lost. What makes Black Mirror brilliant is that the technology is rarely the true villain. The real danger is how humans choose to use it. Hollywood often imagines the future as a place filled with incredible inventions. Black Mirror imagines the future as a mirror reflecting our own flaws back at us. And sometimes, the most terrifying, science fiction isn't about what might arrive from another planet, it's about what we might become ourselves. Number 6. 28 Days Later, 2002. Before zombie movies became massive Hollywood spectacles, Danny Boyle created something much more terrifying, a world that felt abandoned. When Jim wakes up in an empty London hospital, he discovers civilization has collapsed after a deadly virus outbreak. What made 28 Days Later different wasn't just the infected, it was the atmosphere, the silence. The feeling that society disappeared overnight. This wasn't about heroes saving the world, it was about ordinary people trying to survive after the world already ended. Hollywood has made countless apocalypse movies, but few captured the lonely, uncomfortable realism of Britain falling apart. Number 5. Sunshine, 2007. Saving humanity sounds like the perfect setup for a Hollywood blockbuster. A massive mission, a heroic crew, a triumphant ending. But Sunshine takes that idea and strips away the comfort. The mission is simple. The sun is dying, Earth is freezing. A small group of astronauts must travel into space and deliver a nuclear device powerful enough to restart the star. But the deeper they travel, the more the mission begins to fall apart. What makes Sunshine so unique is that it treats space like something terrifying, not a playground, not a place for easy adventures, a place where one mistake means everyone dies. Director Danny Boyle created a film that blends hard science fiction, psychological tension, an almost horror-like atmosphere. A Hollywood studio would probably focus on the spectacle. Sunshine focuses on something much scarier, the fragile nature of human beings when they are pushed beyond their limits. Number 4. High Rise, 2015. What if the apocalypse didn't happen outside? What if it happened inside a luxury apartment building? That is the disturbing idea behind High Rise, based on J.G. Ballard's novel. The movie takes place inside a futuristic tower where society slowly collapses. At first, everything seems perfect. The building has everything residents need: swimming pools, stores, entertainment. A world completely separated from the outside. But as resources disappear and tensions rise, the building becomes a miniature version of civilization itself. The rich stay at the top, the poor remain at the bottom, and slowly, everything falls apart. This is the kind of strange, uncomfortable science fiction that Britain does extremely well. It's not interested in giving you a hero. It's interested in asking, what happens when humans create their own prison? Hollywood loves dystopias with clear villains and heroes. High Rise looks at humanity and says, maybe the problem is us. Number 3. Under the Skin, 2013. Some science fiction movies want to explain the universe. Under the Skin wants you to feel lost inside it. The story follows an alien entity disguised as a human woman, traveling through Scotland and observing people from the shadows. That description alone sounds like something Hollywood would turn into a massive alien thriller, but this movie goes in the opposite direction. It's quiet, strange, almost hypnotic. Instead of focusing on alien technology or massive battles, it explores what it means to experience humanity from the outside. The movie feels less like watching a traditional story, and more like discovering a strange signal from another world. This is exactly why Hollywood would struggle with it. A studio would probably ask, where is the action? Where is the explanation? Where is the franchise potential? Under the Skin simply answers, sometimes the mystery is the point. Number 2. Threads, 1984. There are many movies about the end of the world, but very few make the end of the world feel this real. Threads is not a movie about surviving an apocalypse. It's about what happens after survival becomes almost meaningless. Set around a nuclear conflict, the film follows ordinary people in Britain as society slowly collapses after a nuclear attack. There are no superheroes, no last-minute rescue, no inspiring speeches, just consequences. And that is exactly what makes it terrifying. Hollywood often turns disasters into stories of courage and victory. Threads does something much darker. It shows the cost, the fear, the reality of a world that cannot simply reset after destruction. Decades later, it remains one of the most disturbing pieces of television ever created. And honestly, this is the kind of story a major Hollywood studio would probably avoid completely. Number 1. Doctor Who, 1963 till date. For over 60 years, one of Britain's greatest science fiction creations has been doing something Hollywood has never truly been able to copy, being completely unpredictable. At its heart, Doctor Who is a simple idea. A mysterious alien traveler called the Doctor explores time and space inside a blue police box that is much bigger on the inside. That sounds impossible. And somehow, it works. The show has visited the beginning of the universe, the end of civilization, alien worlds, alternate realities, and moments throughout human history. But the reason Doctor Who has survived isn't just because of the science fiction, it's because of the imagination. The Doctor isn't a superhero. The Doctor doesn't solve every problem with weapons. The greatest weapon is curiosity. Hollywood can spend hundreds of millions creating futuristic worlds, but creating something with the strange charm, creativity, and ability to reinvent itself like Doctor Who, that is almost impossible, because Doctor Who isn't just a science fiction show. It's a piece of British imagination that somehow escaped into the universe. Science fiction doesn't always need the biggest budget. Sometimes the most unforgettable ideas come from taking risks, from a London estate fighting aliens, to a lonely astronaut staring into a dying sun, to a time traveler exploring the universe in a blue box. British sci-fi has always been willing to be strange, uncomfortable, and different, and maybe that's exactly why Hollywood struggles to recreate it. Because the future isn't always about bigger explosions, sometimes it's about bigger ideas. If you enjoyed exploring these hidden corners of science fiction, consider subscribing, because here at Hefty Cinema, we don't just watch movies, we uncover the stories that deserve to be remembered. Now I'm curious, which British sci-fi movie or show do you think Hollywood could never make? Drop it in the comments. Check out the next video on the screen. YouTube thinks you'll love it. See you next time.